Wellington Conservation Commission. First item of business is to do a roll call. Please signify your presence by saying here or present. Ed Laturco.
Here.
Rob Sheehan.
Here.
Bill Boyven.
Here.
Sarah Walensky.
Here.
Kent Moffat is absent. Indra Deb, absent. And for the record, the chair, Larry Cohen, is present. Okay, now about the agenda. We have two things on the agenda that will not be heard tonight. The first is item number 6. It's a notice of intent for 1 Richfield Road by Daniel J. Collins to construct a residential addition. It's continued until March 28th. That has not been opened, so we guess we don't need a motion on that. Okay. Next, we also have item number 9. That's a public hearing, a notice of intent, 101 Middlesex Turnpike, Brixmore Property Group, to increase the parking lot elevation. Again, this one has not been opened and will be, I assume they've said at the next meeting? Is that what they said? Yeah, okay. They will also be coming to the March 28th meeting.
Did you want to vote now? Those two?
Do we need a
They haven't
continue?
been opened, right?
They haven't been opened,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
so we don't need a vote.
Well, you do need to open them.
Oh, you do need to
We
open
do-
them?
should open, wait until the time on the agenda, that's all right. Just
Okay,
wait-
open
wait till
them
they come up on
and
the
then
agenda.
continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay. Next is public comment period. Is there anyone here in the audience or online who would like to make a comment or bring up a subject that is not on our agenda? All right, the record should show that there is no one to offer public comment. We have approval of minutes of February 22nd, 2024. I saw those minutes. Are we in a position to approve? Any discussion needed?
Nope, they look fine to me.
Motion to approve the minutes of February 22nd, 2024.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? 1, 2, 3. 5-0-0. Those minutes are approved. Okay, item number 4, it's a request for extension for order of conditions Burlington Wetlaw permit for 24th Avenue. Formerly was called 174 Middlesex Turnpike. It's for the Nordblum Company, DEP number 122-653. Okay, well, which building is that, John or Eileen?
So it's Lifetime Living?
Yeah. And they want an extension for
Right,
the,
somebody should be here. Is it one of the call-in users?
is anyone online for this?
Yeah, this is Joe White from BSC, if you can hear me.
We can hear you, so would you like to say anything on this?
Sure, I'll just give a quick summary. So good evening, everybody. I don't know if everyone on the commission has had a chance to go through the letter that we sent as part of this request, but in summary, there's a grass area, if you will, between Middlesex Turnpike and the Lifetime Living building. That as part of the original permit approvals was permitted to be brought up to a specific elevation. And that's because it was in the flood zone and some of the compensatory flood storage was constructed as part of the Lifetime Living project. So basically, now that the order of conditions is close to expiring, that grass area hasn't been brought up to its final permitted grade yet. It's about 6 inches below. So our thought that, and Nordblum, as the applicant would agree that we can leave that at a lower elevation, but they want to be able to, preserve their permit to be able to raise it up to 6 inches in the future if they can. And I guess the alternative, if the commission wouldn't be in agreement with extending this, would be that they'd be able to raise that elevation of the grass area up 6 inches before closing out the existing order of conditions. So that's where that request comes from. In the future, they may be looking at developing that, and Nordblum and BSC Group as the engineer and permitting engineer understands that the order would have to be closed out, and obviously new permitting would have to be in place. So that's kind of the summary of the thinking behind this request, and be happy to answer any other questions if you have any.
All right.
And you're still asking for 3 years?
That's correct. Yep.
All right, so,
If that any future development becomes a reality, I guess, within those 3 years, the applicant understands that they would have to grade out that area based on their current permitting, close out the current permitting, and go back to the commission for any new development there, obviously. So,
okay.
Okay.
John or Eileen, any comments on this one? Do you recommend approving?
Yeah, so I'll just explain a little further. So that area is where there was an existing building that got torn down several years ago. And that building was in the floodplain, so they want to grandfather their footprint in the floodplain. So after they tore down the building, they left it elevated above the floodplain to preserve those rights. So that's basically a continuation of this. They haven't elevated it, so if they don't, they could potentially lose their grandfathering in the floodplain. One other wrinkle is that we do have preliminary floodplain maps which could go into effect in 2025, which will change the floodplain here, and I believe that area would probably no longer be considered floodplain. But in the meantime, I think actually it was my recommendation for them to request a continuance. The Lifetime Living project is pretty much done. I think they have full occupancy permit for both sides, and the landscaping is pretty much all done. But so it's really related to that sort of out parcel area up near Middlesex Turnpike.
Okay. So, do any of the commissioners have any comments to offer?
No, I think it's fine. I mean, if it's kind of a wasted effort to fill it in now if they're going to develop it in the future. Not, if anything, it's creating a little extra flood storage now. So,
Right.
yeah, I say grant them and leave it as is.
Does anyone else? Okay, my only question is you talk about the permitting for a potential new development on the corner, but that's not in the same area as this other. So there's not likely to be any interferences there between a potential new project and filling of this area?
That area is where the building would go.
It is. So,
It would be a small,
There's currently no building permitted there, so this would just be left as a grass area until, if and when some building may become a reality, and we would have to come back to the commission to get new permits for development.
So you're going to delay
Filling
filling
the
the
area.
area
Correct.
until you do something.
with the new development.
Correct, and then before closing out this order of conditions, the area would be graded up to the permitted elevation. We would close out the order of conditions for this file number, and then have to, re-permit a new building. But the flood store or the grading would still be matching the permit conditions of the open permit.
So the
Potential new development won't interfere with the plan to fill that area, would it?
No, the new development would just go on top of that. Like, it was kind of graded with the thought that there could be development there in the future, and be left as landscaping for now, until, like I said, if and when. We don't even know if that will become a reality yet, but it's more an issue of maintaining the ability to build in the floodplain there, because the compensatory storage was provided as part of the overall Lifetime Living project.
Got it. Is there anything further from anyone?
No.
A motion to extend the DEP permit number 122-653 24th Ave, order of conditions, Burlington Wetland Bylaw, for 3 more years. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 5-0-0. Okay, you have your 3-year extension. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye. Okay, next is item 5A. Notice is given. The commission will hold a public meeting during which time We have a request for determination of applicability filed by Hub Building Maintenance for proposed improvements to landscaping and stormwater management within the riverfront area and the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands and bank. The property is located at 5-7 Ray Ave in Burlington and will thereafter issue a determination. The application is being heard under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, which is the Wetlands Protection Act, in Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. And you may obtain a copy of this particular application by writing to conservation@burlington.org. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission. For the record, Christine Hung, attorney at Reamer and Braunstein. With me tonight, I have Alex Tepper, owner of Hub Building Maintenance, the applicant, and we have with us joining online Michael Radner of Radner Design, the landscape architect. Just by way of a quick recap, we were last before the Commission in late January on a request for a determination of applicability for some proposed exterior improvements that were required for ADA compliance. The Commission issued a negative determination with conditions. One of those conditions was that the applicant engage with the landscape architect to design and prepare a landscape and stormwater management plan. Since that time, we have done just that, and what you have in front of you is the proposed landscape and stormwater management design. I should note that we have also been before the planning board that approved a special permit and site plan waiver, and they have approved the proposed plan subject to ultimate approval by the Commission. What I'd like to do now is turn it over to Michael Radner, the landscape architect, and he'll walk you through the design, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions that the Commission might have.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Michael Radner with Radner Design Associates, 3 Allied Drive in Dedham. And so you're looking at our landscape plan that we prepared for the applicant. And I understand that we sort of came in halfway through this process, and what we were asked to do was to provide a planting plan that addressed the runoff that came from the loading area, which is at the lower right-hand corner of the plan, which has suddenly disappeared from my screen.
I was just going to pull it up so I could see your actual plan. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Never mind. I'll go back to the other one. Go ahead.
Sure, that works. So that lower right-hand area there were some trees that were taken out of there, and we have a loading area that sort of drains from, we'll say, the upper left corner of the plan down towards the lower right corner of the plan, and then right now flows over into the brook that's down below that retaining wall that's there. There's sort of a retaining wall and some steep sloped area at the lower right-hand corner. So what we're proposing is to basically maintain the paved area where it is, let the water flow into that green strip there, which is going to have a shallow depression like a swale. The water can infiltrate into that, which is at the, behind the top of the retaining wall. The plantings will help absorb some of that water, and the water can, the sediment can filter out of there, and then the water will flow down to the right and make its way into the brook. We're also showing a few boulders in there on the lower right. That area is eroding a little bit right now, and we'd like to just do some stabilization of that slope. So those boulders will be placed to help stabilize that slope. And then the last part of the plan is on the right-hand side. We've been asked to show 4 trees on the right side. Sorry. The 4 large trees there, and those are approximate locations, but we're proposing to put 4 red maples in that area as compensation for or mitigation for the trees that were taken out. And so that's our plan. In addition, we want to put a timber guardrail along that edge, along the bottom, to help just to keep people from backing into that area and provide a little bit more security, if you will. And we'll mount some signs on that guardrail that says, do not push snow into this area, because we don't want that.
Right.
Okay, good, thank you. Eileen or John, you have comments on this one?
So this is pretty much what we asked them to do. When they came in before, they had done some cutting. Initially, we suggested planting trees along the lower area, and they haven't, and it's probably a good idea that the loading dock is really close, and that retaining wall doesn't really look that great, so tree roots probably behind that retaining wall are probably not a good idea. So, I mean, I think that this looks fine.
Okay, so no further changes are requested.
No.
All right, so on the left, Sarah, you have anything? Bill?
No, I don't have anything.
I think this is an improvement drastically over what's there now. And I just would like to make sure that the 4 trees that are put in are native trees and not hybrids of some, strain of a red maple. That's all I have.
Right, we would propose the species,
Good.
and not a cultivar.
All right.
Correct.
All right, Rob, anything further?
No, I think it looks great.
Ed?
Nothing to add.
I have nothing further. Anyone else have comment? Okay, we have a draft negative conditional determination. We'll review it, then vote on it, and get you folks on your way.
Thank you.
Keep it over there till we're done.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
So we referenced the 2 plans that have now been updated for this.
Which we were just sharing here, the landscape plan and schedule, and the landscape notes and details. They propose to install a timber guardrail, a swale, and 36 shrubs along the bank of Little's Brook to capture stormwater runoff in the parking lot, 4 maple trees across the rear of the lot, and 3 smaller trees, and a bed of perennial plantings at the front of the site. The work was within the riverfront area to Little Brook and the 100-foot buffered bank and vegetated wetland. No increase in impervious was proposed, and the plantings were proposed as improvements to the riverfront area and a slight improvement to stormwater management. So this is to state that the decision is for work only as described this evening. I had highlighted this because I think we needed to just talk about whether the sediment barriers need to be moved or not, or whether I think they might need to go a bit closer to the stream, but I had left that highlighted so we could talk about it, and I forgot that. Any excavated pavement, soil, or other debris shall be disposed of off-site in a legal manner. No tracking of sediments onto public roadways shall be allowed. No dewatering on the site unless we get a plan. No further cutting of trees or vegetation is permitted under this determination unless we agree. No filling or grading of the property under this decision. Any other future exterior construction that involves land disturbance, changes to pavement, or vegetation management shall require a new filing. And the others are just to say that we may go on the site just to check progress and check adherence to these conditions.
Okay.
We do have pictures of the erosion controls. If we push them back towards the stream, will that give them?
You should just make it at the discretion of staff. Leave it up to us.
Yeah, I was-
Decision right here.
No, that's
I
actually.
was going to say, how's it determined with the language but if you put it that way, then it's,
We'll go out and visit it.
so before they move them, you'll go out there. That's the way it would work.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we don't have to talk about that. All right, so do you folks have any questions on what you just heard so far?
They might have trouble.
Any questions at all?
No questions.
Thank you. All right, so could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act for the project at 5-7 Ray Avenue?
We'll move.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? 500. You're all set.
Thank you very much, and I'd just like to thank John and Eileen for all their assistance. They were very helpful, so I just wanted
comment's
to acknowledge your
appreciated.
staff.
Thank you for saying
Thank you for all the time, guys.
Good luck. Good luck with your
night.
business
Thank you.
there.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, have a good evening. Okay. All right, now we're on item 5B. Notice is given that the commission will hold a public meeting during which time we have a request for determination of applicability filed by Derek tomorrow for proposed tree removals within the riverfront area located at 2 Dublin Circle. The commission will thereafter issue a determination. The application is being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. And a copy of the application is available by writing to conservation@burlington.org. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you? Derek
Good.
Tomaro.
And how are you, folks?
Doing well. Is my daughter Olivia with me? My wife Jamie and other daughter Victoria could not join us tonight.
But I see you brought your daughter with you for some support.
Support, good experience, and then CJ as well. Good experience for her, I think.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yep.
All right, so the way this works is we give you the opportunity to talk first.
Sure.
Okay, so why don't you explain what you're doing, why you're doing it, whatever you want to say.
Yep.
Okay?
So,
By the way, this is TJ Martell with Martell's Rehab. I'm also here as well. Subcontractor that's
Hi there.
essentially going to be doing work for Derek.
Hi, CJ. Thank you. So we're looking to have trees removed, 7 in total. 5 are very tall pines and 2, I believe, are oak.
been in the property about a year and a half now. Since that time, we've actually had, and probably saw, one very large pine come down. Prior to us living there, just speaking with the neighborhood, 2 other trees came down, one of which did extensive damage to the property to the right of us, roof and side damage. Again, speaking to the neighborhood, no one was up in that room at the time, nobody was hurt. But, you know, as the wind picks up and I just stare out there, it feels like it's not an if, it feels like it's a when for more of these to come down. So to me, it's paramount of anything. It's a safety issue for myself, my family, and obviously, you know, my young children at this point. So we're looking to remove the risk. And just, you know, again, scoping that out, it's 7 trees that we're looking to remove.
Okay, good. That's a good summary. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. John or Eileen, do you have comments on this particular application?
Sure. So this particular lot was built right after the wetlands, the Rivers Protection Act, along with the 2 adjacent lots. And the lots have granite bounds which mark the area of riverfront area that's protected in perpetuity. So 6 of these 7 trees are in an area that's to be remain in its natural state. Now that said, the trees are in the outer 100 foot of the riverfront area, so they're not really close to the river, but they are in a protected area. So I don't think it's necessarily problematic to cut down the large trees, as long as that they're replaced and the area still continues to remain in a natural state.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go around and see if other people have comments, and then we'll try to wrap this up for you.
Sure.
Okay, Sarah?
When I was there, I definitely noticed that the trees were very tall and there were a lot of rocks in the area, and the roots seemed to be extending over the rocks, which made me wonder how stable they were. So my question is, do you plan to replace them with something? And if so, what? Something more slow growing, maybe?
So the answer is yes. The what, open for recommendations. This is not my forte. Certainly stay within, I think, the rules. We want something native to put there. So the answer is yes.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, then I'll go over to Ed. Ed, you have any comments on this one?
Basically, same as Sarah, you know, the stable on this of those trees with all those roots on the surface is amazing. I'm all for it.
Okay, Rob?
I was just a little curious, like so we have like the square footage restriction, whereas a lot of times we just have like a distance sort of surface delineation. Is that something that's common in, I saw that was it 97? Is that like an older properties, or is that sort of?
No, so it's a riverfront regulation. So when you're doing a project in the riverfront, you're allowed to alter 5,000 square feet or 10% of the lot, whichever is greater.
Okay, so
they took the 10% of that big lot, and then they cut the lot into parcels, but the 10%, they took the maximum 10% at the time.
Okay, so this is for riverfront, because I haven't seen this, is this because this is after the, I guess, the like riverfront action? Because we've seen a lot of properties, but I guess they're, with riverfront, like there's some that are 30 feet or something like that.
Right.
Really close, but this is,
right.
so this would be.
Right, on older, right, those are older properties, but on properties built since the Rivers Protection Act.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Robert, to your point, you're looking at about 200 feet.
Yeah, I noticed, yeah, it does look like.
Right.
About the first 100 is like fully wooded, and then for the second, the second 100, the buffer zone, it looks like at least, 50 to, like the distance from the river.
Are you talking about this particular lot?
Yeah.
So I think the plan actually shows where the riverfront is on it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does, yeah. So,
I have it, I have the.
yeah, the 200-foot riverfront, basically almost the entire house is in the 200-foot riverfront area.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the granite bounds mark the area
And that
of the 10% that, that was disturbed.
Yeah, and the granite bounds, it looks like it's about like 160 feet.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Bill.
I got a question for Mr. Martell. These trees, are you of the opinion that these trees are in danger of falling, including the 2 oaks?
The oak, everything to answer your question, yes. The oaks in particular, basically based off of what Aileen said. I don't know if the whole area is ledge back there. That doesn't really make any sense. I almost feel like back when they were doing the construction, they moved a ton of boulders back there. Because, yeah, a lot of there's these huge rocks kind of everywhere, and the trees' roots are just kind of draped over them, which is just going to be an indication that they don't really have a very good structure, and the stability is definitely compromised due to that. So, yeah, both of the oaks have that sort of thing on as well. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't just something that pines were susceptible to.
And so one of the oaks is actually beyond the marker. So of the 7 trees, one of the oaks is not in the river, is not in the restricted area.
Right. Did you, sir, say that you had some concerns about water in that area as well?
Yeah, as did CJ.
I just want to make sure that you're aware that cutting down these trees will probably make the water worse because they suck up a lot of water, so you want to get other trees planted.
I think that's right. Replanting is vital.
Yeah.
Correct.
It'll take a while before they get to the same production as the bigger trees, of course. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, there's two points I'd like to make. The first is
when I looked at the trees, I looked at the size of the trunk, and they're huge trunks. They're substantial looking trees, but I noticed all the rocks and stuff, and I noticed roots actually had extended over the rocks, which means the whole root ball is probably very shallow. So it just struck me that these trees are probably, you are correct, they're more likely to come down than not, especially with that added factor. It just looks, the whole thing looks like it's very shallow rooted.
Correct, and tall enough.
Yeah, so, I don't like to see big trees taken down, of course. That's what we protect here, but I understand the logic behind it. The other is, I noticed a tree that didn't have a ribbon or a marking on it that had like the rock coming up. And I noticed that wasn't marked for removal, and it already looked like it was leaning. I was wondering why you didn't ask to take that down.
I think probably being respectful of the distance from the markers to that point. That's one I have probably the most concern over, to be honest with you, because to your point, it's growing above the rocks, and if you look at the trunk, it's breaking in 3 different directions.
Exactly.
Well, right?
So I'm just wondering, although I don't want to take down trees you didn't apply for necessarily.
Right.
That one struck me that out of all the ones you would target, you're going to have to clean it up soon anyway.
So
or leave it, I mean, whatever the case is. I don't know how the commission feels about it, but
I would be ecstatic to remove that, to mitigate that danger.
how does the commission feel about making this gentleman ecstatic?
That was the first tree I realized the same thing, that should be the first one that goes. I think it should be marked.
Yeah. John, do you have any, are you opposed that at all?
So what are you talking about, the one on the far left corner?
It's towards the left, as you're facing the back of the lot, towards the left. There's one that's like half sitting on a rock and half leaning already.
That's fine.
How
It's the
about,
furthest from the house, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, that's fine. As long as they're replaced, it's fine.
Okay. Now you can be ecstatic.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the consideration.
Anyone else, you object to that?
No, if it says the same situation and the same risk to the house, then I think it's the
But
same.
I don't know if it's a risk to the house, but looks like, to me, it looks like it's
Yeah,
gonna come
yeah.
down.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I make one more comment?
Please do.
To Mr. Martell, while I've got the opportunity to speak to you directly, your
Your
firm just did a job.
in the last week on my property on Fox Hill Road, and it was terrific. I just wanted you to know that. They did a great job.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
I thought for sure.
No. I can take down trees, but it was a big one and it was gone in 2 hours. I couldn't get over it.
Good.
Now, okay, now the question is, do we want to leave any snags at all there? It's a pine.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Being a pine, I don't know how useful it is.
It's just as tasty to the bugs and birds.
John, do you have an opinion?
There may be one or two.
One or two?
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise.
The furthest one's back from the house.
Yeah, that would be fair.
Again, I mean, every one of those trees is growing up on top of big rocks. After just probably a couple years, if we leave 10 to 15 foot tall snags there, now you're kind of risking the whole thing to kind of flop over. He could have his kids back there. I would suggest that all the trees, obviously no stump grinding, but we'll cut the trees down to ground level.
Okay. Any comment from the commission?
My recommendation.
All right, thank you for that comment.
That's fine.
Anybody?
That's fine.
Okay, I guess it looks like the commission is nodding in agreement, so I guess we're not going to require snags in this particular case. So, is there any further comment then from anyone? All right, so we have a negative conditional determination, which means we impose some minimal conditions and then the project is approved, is what it means. So we got to review it and then vote.
Very good. Thank you.
So,
We do, and I don't think I shared this with you today. I usually do, but I wasn't sure how it was going to go, Mr. Tomorrow. So you haven't actually seen this yet. Sorry about that.
well, we'll go through it a little slower then. So he
I can
can-
also put it like this in case, so that you can see my screen if that's any easier. Okay.
Okay.
No?
No, this is fine.
Okay. So the applicant proposed to cut 7 trees within the riverfront area. 6 of those trees are also within a restricted area. So I guess we're going to say 8, just in that we agreed to 8 during the course of the meeting. The proposed work was located within the riverfront area of Sawmill Brook and within a deed-restricted area. In 97, the commission allowed 3 houses to be built on adjacent lots in the riverfront area of Sawmill Brook, but future development was restricted. And then we went on to add in the 2 conditions that explained the restrictions so that this is memorialized in his determination. One about the no further disturbance, and the other one about permitting an alteration of up to 5,000 square feet or 10% of the lot area as John described. So the other findings are that the wetland areas were not delineated, and for the purposes of this finding, the commission made no findings as to the exact boundaries. However, the entire lot is within the riverfront area of Sawmill Brook. 6 of the 8 trees were within the deed restricted area. I guess, no, 7 of the 8 trees, and sorry about that, I'll fix that. So you are agreeing to a negative determination only as described tonight. The applicant may proceed with 8 tree removals. Removal of any other trees will require additional, sorry, I'm just making sure I fix that. Additional approval from the Commission or Conservation Administrator and may require submission of written assessment by a certified arborist that they pose a hazard or are in significant decline. For tree removals that are not feasible to do by hand, machinery such as a bucket, truck or crane shall be located in the driveway or existing lawn areas. They did actually provide an image of where the crane would go. No stumps of any trees shall be removed beyond the granite bounds. So do we need to tweak that a little?
No.
No. No fewer than 8 native trees to be selected in consultation with Conservation Department staff shall be planted as mitigation. We are suggesting white pine, white oak or red oak because they're just particularly good for that area. And the area beyond the granite bounds shall be left in a natural state. No lawn or yard expansion is permitted in perpetuity, referring to the finding from the Order of Conditions. And then the rest are pretty standard about not dumping sediment or lawn clippings in the vegetated in wetlands, not to use pesticides, herbicides, fungicides within 100 feet of a wetlands or a stream, and that we just may check on proceedings during the process of the cutting, not forever. That's about it.
Okay, so, sir, are you okay with these few conditions?
I am, yes.
Okay, they're very minimal, to be honest with you. Okay, does anyone else have a comment here?
No.
Okay, I think you know this, but I just wanted to maybe take a moment and emphasize the area, because of the way your deed is restricted and so forth, it is supposed to stay in a natural state because it's considered a resource area. It's called a riverfront. And riverfronts are important for wildlife habitat. This is the reason they're protected. They're for providing food, shelter, breeding sites. They're places for small animals to migrate, overwinter, and things like that. And the natural forested area also, if any pollutants or anything, trap or anything got in it, being naturally forested, it stops it from hitting the stream and getting into the stream. So there's a lot of other reasons why it's protected, but I just wanted to point out that it is supposed to stay in a natural vegetated state as a riverfront. Otherwise, it doesn't function that way. Okay, so I just thought, you may know this, but I just wanted to point it out.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Okay. So if there's nothing further, could I have a motion to approve a negative conditional determination for the project as described and conditioned at 2 Dublin Circle under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 in the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor? 500. You're all set. It's all been approved unanimously.
Appreciate it. Thank you
All
very
right,
much
good.
for your time.
Good luck with your project.
Thank you, John. Eileen.
Thank you, CJ. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, CJ.
No problem. No, thank you.
All right, have a good evening, folks.
Larry, this is 5-7. Right, I think we never made it.
Never made it. Okay. Thank you, sir. That's for you. All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay. Number 6 was a public hearing. I'd like to read that notice. Okay. Notice is hereby given that the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing, during which time we will have information related to a notice of intent filed by Daniel J. Collins for the construction of 2 residential additions at 1 Richfield Road in Burlington. Proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, which is the Wetlands Protection Act, And Burlington Bylaw Article 14, the commission will review all information relative to the application and may issue an order of conditions and a Burlington Wetlands permit for the project. The information may be viewed on the conservation website by pressing on the link for the project at 1 Richfield Road. This particular project now is, they have asked for it to be continued. I'd entertain a motion for this particular hearing to be continued until our March 28th meeting.
And by the way, there is a file number 122-699.
Okay, the motion should say file number 122-699.
699.
Is there a motion to continue?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? 500. The 1 Richfield Road public hearing is continued to March 28th. Okay. All right, so. Okay, next, item number 7. All right, we have a continued public hearing, a notice of intent. This is Middlesex Turnpike Extension, right-of-way, Boston Gas Company. It's to replace an existing natural gas pipeline on the old Middlesex Turnpike, DEP file number 122-698. Well, good evening.
Good evening, how's it going?
Good, how are you tonight?
Pretty good.
So please reintroduce yourself. I know you were here last time.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself, and you're welcome to start speaking if you would like.
Thank you. My name is Rasmundo Cruz again. I'm with BSC Group, and I'm representing the Boston Gas Company for this project.
Sure. All right. Do you have anything further to add at this point?
We did provide a safety data sheet to the commission that proves that the drilling fluid just only contains bentonite, no toxic polymers, and is non-toxic to the environment as well.
The bentonite is for the dam stops along the pipe?
Sorry?
Bentonite would be used, what is the bentonite used for?
It's for the drilling fluid.
It's what?
The drilling fluid.
Oh, it's the drilling fluid, okay,
Sorry, yeah.
okay, I got it. All right, so, Rob, were you the one who brought that up?
Yeah.
Do you have any comment on it at all?
No, I think, I looked into a little bit, and it does seem like I think maybe just having that information of where, like which source, what the purchaser's from, that might be sufficient.
Yeah.
Is that does it become part of a spec when you procure that material?
Come again?
Is that part of a spec? Do you have a specification for that the contractor must use?
I think between the contractor and National Grid, yes, but not with us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. I don't remember anything else. John or Aileen, is there anything else on this project that needs to be addressed?
No, they were going to provide that, and then we were just going to, no, the other notes really were for us about adding something about the environmental inspector, and we were going to either get some words or something from Rob about it, but I think we're covered in that. Razme has provided the safety data sheet. So I think we're all set.
Okay, before we start reviewing the documents, anyone else? Ed?
Yeah.
Rob? Bill?
Nope.
Sarah? I have one comment. When I looked at the draft documents, Eileen, I said to myself, I'm wondering whether I expected to see the word limited project. Is it supposed to be a limited project?
It's actually an exempt project.
It's an exempt project. Because when I looked up limited project, it said something about utility right away and stuff. Maybe I'm wrong about that, which is fine.
Extension of right-of-way.
Oh, sorry, do you want the actual application?
Yeah, it says one of the things, maybe this was exempt, the construction, reconstruction, operation, and maintenance of underground and overhead public utilities qualify as a limited project. So,
Sorry, where are you reading that from?
10.5.3, 3D.
No, there's another place in the regulations, which I can find. Let's see, hold on.
I mean, either way, it's going to get permitted. I thought,
Correcting, yeah.
so I just thought it was a limited project, and it said that any surface vegetation and stuff, one of the requirements is it has to be restored, which we would anyway. But I don't think there's anything restored here.
No, because they're working in the road.
Right. 1053 3D.
But that's, 1053-3 is for new utility work? This is maintenance of an existing? I mean, they've got a gas line there? So.
Well, it says operation and maintenance of underground and overhead public utilities.
Okay, 10.02, installation of underground utilities, e.g. gas, electric, gas, and water within existing paved or unpaved roadways and private roadways, driveways, provided that all work is conducted within the roadway or driveway, is in 10.02 an exempt activity.
Okay.
The following minor activities, provided they apply with 310, are not otherwise subject to regulation under 310 CMR 130-140, and that's one of the ones.
Oh.
Utilities within roadways.
Okay, so this.
I mean, technically, they did not need to file this with us under the Wetlands Protection Act.
Okay, so we don't need to add the words limited project in your opinion. I mean, that's fine. I'm not arguing the point. I just thought it might have been left out. Okay, because 1053 3D did say something about maintenance of underground, but maybe it doesn't.
It's not under a roadway.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really care. They're going to be permitted anyway.
Wouldn't be the first time that a regulation had a confusing combination of paragraphs.
Or maybe the commission is trying to decipher them and confused, to be honest. Okay, thank you. Sorry for the distraction. All right, so if there's nothing further, we have, this is a hearing. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? I should ask for public comment. I guess the answer is, the record should show no. So we have some draft documents to review.
We do, and there's actually a spot right here at the very beginning that I want to check with resume. That's the order. How did I get onto the order? This one. I think I put the 8 inches in the wrong place. So the project consists of installing approximately 600 feet of new 8-inch gas main within the roadway along Middlesex Turnpike Extension and under Vine Brook using HDD. The new steel gas main would replace the existing, I don't think it's 8 inches. What's
It's
existing?
8, existing is 4 and 6, I believe.
I'm just changing that. 4 and 6 inch gas line that currently runs above ground alongside the bridge over Vine Brook. The existing line would be abandoned in place, material removed during drilling would be trucked off site. Work would occur under land under water bodies and waterways within the 200-foot riverfront area of Vine Brook, within the 100-foot buffer zone to bank and bordering vegetated wetlands, and within the locally regulated 100-foot buffer to bordering land subject to flooding. The HDD pits would be within paved surfaces. Part of the project is within NHESP priority and estimated habitat, but those activities are exempt. We were just putting all this to be really cover everything. And the applicant asserts that the installation is subject to the Commission's review, while other activities may be considered exempt utility maintenance activities under the Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Wetlands Bylaw. Then we went through the plan document references, which is mostly the environmental resource maps and the inadvertent release contingency plan. And again, the proposed work was within land under waterways, etc., which I already said. The location of the resource areas is shown in the reference plan, and the Commission generally agrees with the depicted locations. The Commission finds that there are no practicable and substantially equivalent economic alternatives with less adverse impact. No new stormwater management features are proposed or are likely to be needed. The project is exempt from the mass stormwater management regulations. However, I did say that it would count as a Burlington Wetland Protection Bylaw, as a permit under the stormwater bylaw Just because it's covering so many spots in town, I just figured we would just throw that in there. And what I wasn't sure about was, we weren't sure about whether we should require a performance guarantee in this case, but we can discuss that in a minute. Maybe we can just zoom through the order of conditions, which is also referring to the same plan references. You have a copy of this, so I can kind of swing through it a little bit. A lot of these things are totally standard. Again, we're saying that this is permitting work under land, under water bodies, and all of the other resources that I mentioned. If we go down to the next page, we're asking for you to inform us a few days before work that it's going to commence, and we will agree to meet with you in the field, and we'll go through the order of conditions, any erosion controls that are necessary, look to make sure the DEP sign is there. In this case, we've added oil spill and drilling fluid containment kits, whatever is normally needed for something like that. The erosion controls shall be installed along the line shown on the reference plan. Material shall not be stockpiled within 40 feet of a wetlands or the stream. If you're going to be using a dewatering plan, we need to approve that. At the end of the workday, keep the roads clean, protect the roadway with silt sacks, and we may require additional erosion controls. Those are sort of the bulk of the things. Yeah. And then for filling and grading, you're not going to be doing anything, and if you do, let us, that'll have to be run by us. The pollution control conditions are all pretty standard. We included the one about if there is a discharge of anything, which includes drilling fluid, to let us know and to let the Board of Health know if it's a reportable amount. Well, I would say if anything untoward happens, let us know anyway.
Absolutely.
And then no refueling close to the stream. An environmental inspector shall be on site throughout the portion of the pipeline work that occurs within the riverfront area, so not necessarily the whole length of the gas line, but for the portion that's within our jurisdiction. Yeah. And the inspector shall alert the Commission and staff in the event of an inadvertent release and or to approve a dewatering plan. And then these are just the points that we will need for you to submit for a certificate of compliance.
Okay. Do you want to talk about surety?
Do we typically require one from, I couldn't really remember, from a utility company? And it's a relatively small project, and it's not entirely in your...
Well, irregardless of the answer to that question, it strikes me that I would suggest to the Commission the risk here, given the type of project, is very minimal. I mean, irregardless of the answer, whether we normally do it, I'm not sure. If there's any doubt, then maybe it's not warranted.
I don't see a problem with it.
Anyone comment? Any further comment? Bill doesn't see a problem. No. Okay, so we will not require.
I can strike that part. That's
strike
fine.
that part.
Okay, will do. But everything else, more or less?
Yes, okay. All right, so is there any further comment on the findings on the proposed conditions?
No.
All right, so could I have a motion, therefore, to close the hearing on DEP file number 122-698?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 500. Could I have a motion under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 to adopt the findings for project 122-698 for the Boston Gas Company? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Same vote, 500. Could I have a motion to adopt the order of conditions for the Boston Gas Company under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act for DEP file number 122-698 for the Boston Gas Company? Second? You're second. Oh, all in favor? 500. And that's it. You're all set. Okay.
Yes, for everyone, yeah.
Oh, sorry, maybe we should have asked it before we
Yeah,
closed.
sorry, I just had one question regarding condition 46. Was pertaining to the as-built plans. Would it be possible to waive that by any chance?
To waive the requirement for as-built plans?
Yes, as part of the for the certificate of compliance.
I don't really see a need for as-built plans. I mean, the road's gonna look the same after it's done. The road's gonna,
Pipe is in the same
everything's
location.
underground, so.
Pipe is in the same location as it was before.
No, pipe's in a different location, but we don't generally.
But deeper.
Existing pipe is along the side.
Oh, okay, I
It's
get you.
above
Yeah, yeah,
ground, right?
Yeah, it's above ground by the brook.
Hope I understood that.
What was it?
And
What did you say? What's above ground?
the existing pipe is
Right.
above ground, so they're leaving that one in place, and then they're putting a new one in under the road, basically. Well, my arms may have been wrong.
Under Vinebrook.
Under Vinebrook,
Yeah.
under Vinebrook.
So the road will look at least as good as it does now.
The road won't be, right there won't be affected at all,
It shouldn't be, I mean,
Well, they're gonna dig two pits.
it's at
at either side,
the either side, yeah.
where my arms were
Then-
doing that.
Oh, is that how it goes, just like that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, did we vote on this yet?
You did?
Yes.
I did. So I think you're all set.
Wait,
Oh, but-
no, you voted
He hasn't
on,
answered his question.
voted including as-built plans. He's asking you
Okay.
to reconsider the vote and delete.
Okay, let's reconsider the vote, strike the as-built plan because it's clearly not needed. And now, could I have a motion with the revised plan to adopt the order of conditions for Boston Gas Company, DEP file number 122-698, under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 in the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor? 500.
Thank you.
A little bit messy, but it's okay.
It was perfect.
We were going so fast that he didn't
There
even
you
get
go.
a chance to ask.
I mean, the reality is we
Thank you
give
so much.
discretion,
Appreciate your help. Thank you so much.
we always give discretion to the staff anyway, and it, it's just that we were here when we sort of discussed it. Okay.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening. Okay.
I didn't put them there, did I?
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, the next item on our agenda is the continued public hearing to amend the Burlington Wetland Bylaw Regulations Appendix C fees. I guess this one is to you, Eileen. You're sort of leading the charge on this.
Yeah, so I think we were all fairly much okay with it the last time. Oh, sorry, let me just share. This is the exact version that we were looking at the last time. And there were still a few things left in red, just that I just want to make sure we're okay with. So one thing that John had pointed out was, which may have been after the meeting, was he was just saying, oh, we should make sure that we don't have a conflict about the charge for the stormwater permit application if it's just for a single-family house versus an RDA, and I don't think that is. So for a single-family RDA, we have it at 150, and that is the same charge as the stormwater. I think it just made sense. So I just wanted to point out that that is correct. So the only ones that I wanted to check with you is, we were kind of still discussing for minor RDA whether it would be $100 or even possibly just $50. And then the other ones, I think we were all in agreement that the small NOI could maybe just be 100 rather than 150, and that sorry.
So let's go through this a moment.
All right,
For the minor RDA, we're talking about leaving it at 50, correct?
sorry, let me scroll down. Minor RDA. We were vacillating, I think, between 100 and 50. So will we leave it at 50, or do you want to make it 100? I think somebody pointed out, maybe Bill, that those small ones are really generally just homeowners. We don't need to up fees for them. If we're upping fees, it should
That probably
be commercial
makes
ones.
sense. Any comment from the commission? Leave it at 50?
I think that's fine.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, let's go to the next one.
at 50.
SFRDA, that is
Single family,
single-family RDA, 100,
150.
150. Oh, I'm sorry, 150 that's going to be?
Yes, because that matches,
A lot of the other places.
well, it also matches our stormwater. I think we had gone through this, so I think we're okay then. For a commercial RDA, 250.
Yeah.
And then for a small notice of intent, again, which would be just probably a family, I had proposed 150, but I'm fine if it's 100.
So small NOI might be 100, is what you're suggesting.
Well, up to you guys.
All right, I just want to know what you're suggesting, because I'm marking it down.
Okay.
Okay, so wait a minute, let's,
Okay, so that's when if it's, say, an addition in the buffer zone, something like that. That's what I'm considering a small NOI in that case.
given what others are charging, the commissioners may want to think 100 is reasonable for a small NOI.
Well, the average is,
What was this, average of 4? Yeah, the average of the.
average is 130,
The average is what?
about 130
130.
overall.
Right.
You could make it,
In the 4 similar communities, the average was 94, so.
Yeah. Well, initially I had said 150.
should it be higher?
Well, let's go with the 150 then. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's still reasonable compared to the others, still less than
And
some of
then
the
for the
others.
single-family NOI, I think we'll go with the 300.
Right.
Single family.
This is the typical knockdown, maybe?
Yeah.
Is the
Yeah.
Okay.
That's usually done by a builder.
Right.
And then for the subdivision, I think we were going with 1,000.
Right,
And then commercial NOI, leave it with 1,000.
right. Anybody, before you go ahead, anybody want to
Well,
comment?
we have discussed this. I'm just kind of confirming that
No, but that's all right, I just want to make sure everyone's okay.
nobody changed their minds in the last
Yeah.
2 weeks of thinking about these fees.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody has spent a lot of time.
Solid 2 weeks.
I'm
thinking
sure
about
they did.
fees. Right, everyone's been, that's been the top of your mind, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Leave the amendment fee at 100.
Yeah,
Leave the extension fee for a single family at 50. Oh, I've lost it. Sorry, I've gone off the rails entirely. Where'd it go? Sorry, something happened to mine. And then, the ANRAD. How about, I think what I had in red here was minimum.
wait a minute, we got single-family extension 50, right?
And then commercial
Then we have
extension.
commercial extension 100,
That's where I lost my cursor. Yep, 100.
and then we have single-family COC
Oh, no, then we do. sorry.
Remaining 50.
remaining at 50,
Yes, remaining at 50. Sorry
okay,
about
and
that.
commercial COC
100.
remaining at 100,
Yeah.
and ADRAD,
I think I was plonking on 200 with a maximum of 800.
based on what? Linear feet?
No, because that was the tricky part that I was just trying to avoid putting into the calculations.
So how would you
Just
determine
be a
between?
flat fee. Let me see. I can't remember what it was now. I've forgotten what they are. Okay, I'm going to have to look at what the ANRAD fees are. Do you remember what that is, John? What did the,
1 per foot, a lot of them say.
yeah, I know, but we're trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
The, what were the minimum and maximum numbers?
The 2 and 8, you mean? 200 and 800?
Yes.
What would determine which it is in an application?
Okay, I'm going back to look
The size of it in
at,
general?
ask
or-
John.
But what happens if it goes beyond a certain property?
No, well, that's not really it.
Well, you're stating a range of prices.
Yes.
200 to 800. So how do you determine where it fits in the range?
I'm just trying to find that now because I
Oh,
don't
you got
remember.
something now. Okay,
She
sorry.
is trying to sort that out as we speak. Okay.
Looking it up.
That's a good question. Where am I looking it up?
I mean, it currently is based on linear feet.
Right.
And that's what Eileen's trying to get away from. because, I mean, like the Eversource RDA, or ANRAD recently, and was, you know, huge.
Right.
Somebody could do an ANRAD for their backyard and that has like 8 or 10 flags. Obviously, they should have different rates.
Right.
What I thought you would do is simply have a more than or less than criteria. In other words, if the linear feet is more than so many feet, it's the higher amount. If it's less than so many feet, it's the lower amount. Not putting in a criteria based on graduated linear feet, just a threshold.
Or another alternative would be.
That is what they are. I just can't remember exactly what to tell you that the thresholds are. Do you
Where are you
understand?
looking now?
But under wetland bylaw fees, shouldn't it be there?
Oh, the existing one?
Yeah.
Between 300 to 500 or something. Over 500 feet.
You could just state one for residential and one for commercial.
You could do
Two
that.
prices like that, 200.
Well, single-family residential, but if somebody comes in with a residential subdivision, you'd probably want the higher rate.
Single family and then other.
Yeah.
There we are. Burlington wetland bylaw fees. ANRADs, we said, generally the single-family residential was one certain fee. So that was what it was going to be. $200 for a single family. If it's just for a single family, they need an ANRAD. But then if it's residential lot over 20,000 square feet or commercial, then 800 was my suggestion. I just couldn't remember what the two charges were.
And some of these other surrounding areas, they have up to 1,500 if they put limits, 200 to 5,000. So yeah, 800 is certainly reasonable.
I mean, we can make it higher, or I could make it, I could put limited things into that. I was just trying not to make it a very complicated per linear foot, you know?
Is 800 reasonable for commercial?
It could possibly even be 800 if it's up to a certain size, and then 1,500 if it's bigger.
What size criteria would you use?
That's a good question. I hadn't really thought that there was going to be
In the project you just did for Eversource, did you actually determine how many linear feet were involved, or would that be another whole burden?
Well, they did, right? How much of a fee did they pay us?
I can look it up.
I can't do.
You do it?
Oh, well, no, one of us can. Yeah. I mean, we don't get them, they're not that frequent.
I would think,
And we're not necessarily in the business of trying to make money. We're just trying to cover costs and not necessarily make it something that people try to do all the time.
I think a criteria based on a homeowner 20,000 square foot or less is one fee.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. And then after that, we just simply, if it's a homeowner greater than 20,000, not too many lots, though, that will happen. But maybe we should have,
Well, basically.
not 800, though.
Oh, you're saying 3 fees.
What?
3 fees.
3 fees is what I'm saying.
Residential 20,000, residential more than 20,000, and then commercial.
Right, that's what I was
2, 5, and
thinking.
8 or something.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Residential
That's
more than
good way to
20,000? When would that happen?
3 units residential on a development, like off
Oh, I
of Chandler
suppose so,
Road, something like that.
like a subdivision.
Yeah.
What was the address for Fox Hill School? Fox Hill Road.
So Eversource said theirs was 1,200 linear feet.
Okay, so did they pay us 1,200?
And
Did they pay a fee for that?
Yep.
Yep.
How much did they pay?
They paid $500. And they paid us $1,000. Our share of the state fee was $1,000.
Our share of the state fee was how much?
1,012, I think, unless
So
I
which
have
part of that
that,
was
maybe
under
I have
the-
that backwards.
Which part of that was under the wetland bylaw? The 500?
Let's see. So, yeah, our share of the state fee was $1,012. And they paid us $500 for our bylaw fee.
Okay, and these are bylaws,
800 is more. I didn't even check that number.
and these are bylaw fees we're talking about, is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yes.
So it
I'd
seems,
go with the 800. It wasn't, I mean, there was a reason we put that in. It sounded good, and it is good.
Yeah. For the smaller one, I don't know about the 20,000. I mean, conceivably, what if somebody has a 22,000 square foot lot, residential lot?
I'd say we just keep it simple. 200 for the,
Single-family lot.
for single-family lot, or as, yeah, single-family lot.
and 800
Just call
for
it
the commercial
something bigger.
lot.
If it's,
Yeah.
if it's a subdivision or a commercial lot.
Right.
There is a lot of benefit to keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Otherwise.
That was the plan. I just
Actually,
forgot to check it for tonight.
as soon as you make it complicated, somebody's going to say, well, what about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So
single family lot 200, basically anything bigger is, or commercial is 800.
All right. And
And that's-
NOIs?
Oh,
Number of NOIs? No, that's nothing. Okay.
oh, that's just number of.
Yeah, okay, so that's it.
Right, so if you guys are okay with that, are you okay with closing the hearing? Nobody seems to have commented on it, or would you prefer to leave it open?
I don't see any great resistance. We're not doing anything radical.
Nothing's crazy.
No.
We're not
I mean,
doubling any fees.
I mean, if we did something, someone considered it radical, we could certainly hear them out anyway, I suppose, and open another hearing if we had to.
You should make an effective date, maybe like April 1st or something, in case somebody's already planning an application for the next meeting
Oh,
or
that's a
something
good
like that.
idea.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so can I have a motion under Burlington Bylaw, Article 14, adopt the fee schedule as discussed to be effective April 1st, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? 500. The new fee schedule is adopted. And we should point out, most of the commercial things weren't changed, is that correct? As far as I could tell,
Any changes were generally pretty minor.
they're very minor for the commercial. Maybe
Well,
that's
let's
why
see.
we haven't heard anything from people.
We upped the subdivision fee. Commercial, we said 1,000, no, what was it at before? Yeah, you're right, we
Many
didn't.
more subdivisions
we didn't
coming
change it. Right, we didn't change it, but it was already a reasonably
Right.
high number for the commercials anyway.
Okay. All right, so next, okay, on the agenda, okay, we have a public hearing, item number 9. Notice is hereby given the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting. Is this a public meeting or a hearing?
Hearing. Does it say?
A public, it says meeting on mine, notice.
It does?
Oh, it's a hearing.
A courtesy to the public, the meeting will be, oh, it's a hearing. I was reading the wrong sentence. Okay. The purpose of the public hearing is to take all information related to a notice of intent filed by the Brixmore Property Group for the reconstruction, which is actually the elevation of a parking lot and creation of compensatory flood storage at 101 Middlesex Turnpike in Burlington. The proposed work would be within the bordering land subject to flooding, riverfront area in the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetland under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, which is the Wetlands Protection Act, in Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. The Commission will review all information relative to the application and may issue an order of conditions and a Burlington Wetlands permit for the proposed project. The application may be downloaded or viewed on the Conservation Commission website. This particular project, the applicant has requested that it be continued until March 28th. Could I have a motion to continue this hearing, which was just opened, to March 28th?
Does it have a dash number?
No file number yet.
And this is the hearing for 101 Middlesex Turnpike.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 500. This hearing for 101 Middlesex Turnpike is continued to March 28th. Okay. All right. Next we have a few administrative matters. It says here to discuss letter sent to Mass Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities regarding Windview Heights 2, the Mountain Road proposal. Okay, so This is just advisory to the commission. No action is required. The commission approved the sending of a letter. The letter is to the state expressing concerns over the local friendly 40B housing development known as Windview Heights 2. Okay, and the commission opposes this project. And the reason they oppose this project is because the site is in general, the site is very difficult. There's a lot of ledge on the site. It's elevated about 80 feet above Mountain Road. There's going to be a large winding road, which is going to have to construction into some bedrock. And on top of that, there's going to be a host of mature trees that are going to be taken down. The issue is not that the commission opposes the project per se. We say that's what we say, but it's a qualified response. We're opposed to the project because as a 40B, this is a very difficult site, and the 40B process allows essentially to circumvent a non-compliance with local bylaws, particularly our local stormwater bylaw, which in this particular site is probably essential. And that it should go through the permitting process. So the Conservation Commission, under my signature and our Vice Chair, Bill Boyven, has sent a letter to the state opposing the project for the simple reason that it is 40B project for this particular site is a poor choice of strategy because there's a host of problems associated with permitting this site, and since it's going around our local bylaws, it's very problematic. And one of the main issues that could be problematic is that with the trees being removed and the construction into the bedrock, there's a very real possibility that a lot of water could end up underground on Mountain Road, and the people at the bottom of Mountain Road may find they're either their yards flooded from groundwater coming up or from or they're even into their basements. And so full permitting doesn't necessarily guarantee that that will be the case, but there is a hope that if it went through full permitting, this project, as it's currently configured, if it's not reconfigured, could have been improved. Unfortunately, this was expressed to our select board, and they opted to vote for this project by a vote of 3-2. So we did send that project, and at this point, I can see if there's any comments from the commission on it. Ed, anything further?
No, I think it was well done.
Rob?
No.
Sarah?
I went walking around the site and I just can't believe that there could be a successful retirement community with an S-curve drive like that built on that site. That was my conclusion.
Right. Bill?
This was originally supported by the state without a 30-day comment period, and there was some outcry, so they reopened it with a 30-day comment period, and that's what motivated us to make sure we got a letter of comment in during that comment period. So we'll see what happens as a result of it, but like Sarah said, it's going to be such a steep and curving road to get up there with the conditions that Larry explained about the disturbance to the environment and the water flow. It just doesn't make sense to us, and if they're going to try to put something like this in that site, it certainly should be under the purview of all of the regulations that are needed to make sure that it goes in as safely as possible.
Right. Thank you. Eileen or John, would you like to add anything further to what was said?
No, well, tomorrow is the end of the 30-day comment period. The commission's letter went in well in advance of that. by email and by first-class mail, so, and I got an acknowledgement right away from the person from the state that they received it, so. But once again, so the state is, their role is just to say whether or not the site is suitable. If they decide it is, then it goes to the Board of Appeals, and they're the ones who would actually be doing all the review.
That's the local Board of Appeals.
Local Board of Appeals, right. And I'm not really sure what sort of standards they would apply for things like stormwater or anything like that, because it's potentially exempt from the stormwater bylaw, unless the Board of Appeals decides they want to enforce it.
Right. And a lot of the things that we consider, they don't normally consider for most projects, so.
Right, the last 40B that we had in Burlington was on Corporate Drive. That was a sizable project, and the Board of Appeals handled it, but the Conservation Commission did as well, because there were wetlands there. So the Conservation Commission did all the review of all the stormwater and everything, because they filed a notice of intent, so.
Can the Board of Appeals approve it with a condition of conservation oversight, if they wanted to?
They could.
So when it comes up in front of the Board of Appeals, we should show up. They're hearing if they have one.
I mean, the Board of Appeals should at the very least solicit input from various boards, including the Conservation Commission.
And that's not written into their responsibility, from what I read. Seems like it's only building inspectors. But I don't see anything that goes back to conservation or health or anything like that.
Well, no permit or hearing would come back to conservation, right? But they can still solicit input on the application from conservation.
Okay, that's what I didn't see.
Would they be likely to do that? The person who spoke from the Zoning Board of Appeals at town meeting seemed irritated that other people were getting in on their turf. That was my read of Jeffrey DiBona.
Jeff DiBona, yeah.
I don't know if they're going to feel like asking other people's input.
I think part of the process is for them to solicit, feedback from the various other boards. Just as when we get a notice of intent, the notice of intent is distributed to the Board of Health, the Planning Board, the Select Board, DPW Engineering, and we can get comments from them. We rarely do. Actually, I asked for comments on Brixmore from various departments to see if we get any comments, but that's the intent. So we will get a copy of the comprehensive permit application when it's filed.
It'd be nice if it was just a checkpoint. We sent something. Okay, we got it. You either respond or you don't. Is that correct? You don't have to respond with yay or nay.
Who doesn't?
If they were to solicit these other boards, including here. It's just a matter of a checkpoint. But whether we got anything back or not is another thing.
So you asking, like, if Conservation sends one over to Board of Health, do they reply and say, we have no comment, or do they just not reply at all?
Yeah, nobody generally comments on our filings.
Mostly not at all.
So they don't respond?
Right.
Okay, just curious. That's it. Yeah.
I think that's the part that was bothering.
I mean, I'm not really sure in most cases, and they don't understand the filings particularly. I mean,
it's not their expertise, right? Exactly, yeah.
Right.
When I attended the hearing at the Select Board, I'm pretty sure that I heard that there was going to be a public site visit. I might be wrong, but I thought I heard that. At least they gave that impression, that the state would come out as part of the process and have a public site visit. So not only was there no public site visit, the private site visit where the staff of planning and conservation was invited only was canceled. And there's going to be no site visit as we were told. I mean, did anyone else hear that same thing?
I didn't hear it.
Well, they visited the site without us.
They visited the site without us. Why would they do that?
This is the state you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
They just need to go look at the site. They don't really need feedback, I suppose. They just want to look at the site and determine on their own whether they think it's appropriate.
So, all right, I'll leave it alone. All right, because I'll only say something I regret probably. So, okay. All right, let's move on. Planning board comments. Do we have anything for planning board?
We will probably just update them about the
Ray Ave. Yeah.
because they were just,
Yeah.
I think they were sort of issuing some things contingent on everything being okay with us too.
Sure. Subcommittee and staff reports. Is there anything from anyone? How about other business?
So other business, we did receive, and I just was today, and I forwarded to you a request from researchers at the University of New Hampshire who have been doing for a couple decades now research on urban streams, and they've got a station on Sawmill Brook, which was actually formerly on the land formerly owned by Gail Lima, and she actually used to do some of the monitoring for them and whatnot. I forwarded the email to you today that because of its location, there's a lot of erosion there, and they just want to move the station.
It's not because of the change of ownership, is it?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just physical stuff.
Our resident biologist left, so.
Yeah. So they want to move it downstream a ways onto conservation land.
Right.
And so they need your permission. I did solicit. Did you get your email? Did you get an email from
I read it.
Yeah. So I solicited Gail since it was on her property, and I figured you might value her input. Did you want to read what she said, or?
Sure. I don't have it.
Okay.
She responded?
Yes.
I didn't see a response from her. I saw your email.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I.
Oh, no, she responded to.
Oh, was it not released to you?
Me?
Yeah. No hesitation.
I can read it. My email to Larry. Hi, Larry. John wrote to me that the research team from UNH wants to relocate the stream monitoring equipment from what used to be our property to nearer the bridge on conservation property. I would support this if I was on the commission. This has been a long-term monitoring site that contributes to data for the Ipswich River watershed. The equipment has been probably there for more than 10 years. It has provided the researchers with important information about urban runoff to the watershed. I used to collect water samples for the researchers during the winter when they couldn't operate their sampling device. My only concern is that someone might vandalize the equipment, but hopefully those delinquents have moved on. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. All the best, Gail.
So she's saying those delinquents are either moved on or grown up, and perhaps they're not delinquents anymore?
Hopefully not.
They're not juvenile delinquents anymore.
Not juvenile delinquents. Okay. Okay. All right, so is this something we could vote on now? Is there any reason not to? Okay, could I have a motion to approve the moving of the research monitoring station to the new location as per the request for Sawmill Brook?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? 500. Okay, so you'll communicate with that person and take care of it. Okay, upcoming meetings. The next meeting is March 28th. The one after that is April 11th. Is there anything further before we adjourn? Could I have a motion to adjourn this meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission? Second? Second. Anyone in favor? 500.